This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Paramedic teams will soon be available around the clock to respond to overdose calls in Winnipeg's downtown. It's all part of a pilot project to address the ongoing toxic drug crisis. But the province is already dealing with staffing shortages, leaving some wondering where those paramedics are coming from. CBC's Ian Fraze reports.
The province wants 2 Winnipeg paramedics dedicated at all times to responding to drug overdoses.
This is a response to what the community's asked for, and Winnipeg Fire paramedics were at that table.
The new 2-person unit will be deployed to Winnipeg's downtown starting this month on a trial run. Manitoba's addictions minister expects the new unit to free up emergency resources.
Whether it's fire responding first and then waiting for an ambulance because fire can't transport a patient. So a dedicated ambulance would ensure that, the firefighters can respond to fires.
So I'm just looking for people who might not have somewhere that they seem they're going.
Foot patrols have seen the growing drug crisis firsthand.
The stuff that people are using right now it's knocking them down harder, and it's keeping them out longer than it has been in the past.
Narcan reverses the effects of opioid overdoses, but with some of the newer drugs on the street, its effectiveness is limited.
People are taking more Narcan to get up. It's taking longer for them to wake up. It's affecting them more.
This chart shows the number of opioid overdoses in Winnipeg have recently skyrocketed, overtaking alcohol-related calls.
It's challenging work when you're there to try and sometimes resuscitate someone.
The paramedics union questions how Winnipeg can staff a new unit when there are major staff shortages.
There's 107 vacancies currently. We needed 8 more ambulances. That means even more workers to fill those roles.
Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham wasn't available for an interview, but said a new overdose unit won't be created at the expense of regular citywide ambulance service. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Part of fixing some of the issues is making sure people have a roof over their heads, a safe place to live and sleep. Outreach workers at a downtown shelter are helping get people off the streets and into permanent housing. But as CBC's Josh Crabb reports, the transition can take months for people once they're ready for a place of their own.
Outreach workers Aaron Gwidolin and Stephen Halderson head out to help people who are homeless. Their work aligns with Manitoba's Your Way Home strategy, a government plan to end chronic homelessness by 2031.
It's heartbreaking sometimes, but it's rewarding when we can do what we can.
The team from the Salvation Army's Center of Hope makes connections and gives basic supplies to those in need. It can be the first step in helping people find a stable place to live. The organization says since October, 191 people have moved into their transitional housing units, with 88 later moving into a permanent place of their own. Housing isn't always the first step.
Some people are just looking, for a place to stay for one night and aren't really ready to transition to permanent housing.
People who come to the organization's emergency shelter can meet with a caseworker in intake rooms like this. They may first choose to address financial, family, or addictions challenges before getting housed. If they're ready, they'll first spend time in one of the shelter's 182 transitional housing units.
We move people as long as they're comfortable and they do okay in the transitional environment, because that's a lot for people. Like if you're coming out of an encampment, just adjusting to a set environment, it's a lot.
Gwidolin and Halderson say the whole process of getting someone into permanent housing can take 2 to 3 months, depending on the person.
A large portion of the people that we're focusing on are the long-term chronically homeless individuals. Some of the people we've been dealing with have been homeless since 2016.
If people are successful in the transitional units, they may go into Manitoba Housing or private accommodations. There, they'll continue to get personalized supports based on how much help they need. That help is provided by different outreach groups. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 32-year-old Winnipeg man is dead after a head-on highway crash near Kenora. Ontario Provincial Police say a westbound semi-trailer truck and an eastbound car collided on the Trans-Canada Highway. It comes just days after two other fatal crashes, one near Roblin and one near Garson. And as CBC's Michelle McDougall shows you now, RCMP has a message for motorists.
The busiest season for summer holiday highway travel hasn't even started, and RCMP are already concerned.
It's sad. We're not even at July long now, and we already have 27 deaths on our roads.
That number signals an uptick in fatalities in Manitoba, deaths on highways all over the province. This week alone, there have been at least 3 and another crash that injured 4. Manitoba has 7 more deaths this year than over the same time last year.
They're still under investigation, so the results or the findings of the reason why these collisions occurred is still unknown. There are anecdotes, like you say, there is, but for now, I can't confirm any of them.
The most severe crashes often involve semi-trucks, including one here in Brandon last week. A 49-year-old woman was killed when her vehicle was hit by a semi that went through a stop sign. But one professional driver I spoke with, who has 40 years experience, says there were a lot of new drivers out here and wonders if the training goes far enough.
It took me years to get to the level where I am, but it's just the population in Canada has risen drastically in the last 40 years. So, and there's more trucks out there, even in the US. So something needs to be done so that everybody's in the same playing field and same level of driving.
The Manitoba Trucking Association's Aaron Dolanyuk says members are focused on making the industry and roads safer.
We don't want to hear about any accidents, but when we hear about commercial vehicles being involved in accidents, it gets close to home. It makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
The message from RCMP, all drivers have a part to play to keep highways safe. Always be alert, slow down, don't touch your phone, and buckle up. Michelle McDougall, CBC News, Brandon.
Well, that severe weather system that rolled through the province Tuesday brought with it at least 3 tornadoes that touched down in southern Manitoba, according to Canada's National Weather Service. It caught one woman in Carman by surprise when she noticed a tornado forming over her backyard.
Oh, Jesus!
This video was taken near Carman yesterday afternoon, where Environment and Climate Change Canada says 2 tornadoes touched down. That's where Stephanie Dewick saw the sky go green and the rain pick up just before 5:30 in the afternoon. She went outside to pick up anything that might get blown around when she saw a massive cloud that started rotating.
The lightning strike hit, and that's when the wind picked up bad, the rain and everything, and that's when I ran in. It pretty much went over our building. It toppled over my neighbor's compost bin, and there was a tree taken half down. But that was the most intense thing I've ever seen in my life.
Dewick says initially it was very calm and quiet, but then there was a sudden bolt of lightning and immediate thunder. She grabbed her daughter and cat and ran into the basement. Environment Canada says an unconfirmed twister was also reported near Dauphin. All right, let's bring Riley in now. And Riley, it has been a very active 24 hours, seeing some storms that you were keeping an eye on today as well.
Yeah, not quite done with the active weather across not just Manitoba, but into parts of Saskatchewan as well, Brittany. This is a quick snapshot of Tuesday. This doesn't count anything that we saw rainfall-wise today in southern Manitoba, but looking at those 2 confirmed tornadoes near Carman, another near Manitou, and southeast of Dauphin, inconclusive in terms of whether a tornado actually touched down. Northern Tornadoes Project and Environment Canada will be doing some investigations to determine wind speeds and the path that these tornadoes took as they moved across the province through Tuesday, but did come along with some wind as well, or with some rain up to 98 millimeters in the Manitou-Miami region, 30 to 40 through Morden, Sanford, Winnipeg, anywhere from 11 to around 25 plus millimeters as we got through the day yesterday. Severe thunderstorm watch in place once again for the Red River Valley through parts of the Interlake into south central Manitoba. We've seen a line of thunderstorms pushing through as we have advanced through the afternoon hours here, more so into the Interlake where we've seen some wider spread thunderstorm activity, but we've seen some of that pushing into the city of Winnipeg as well as we've pushed through the afternoon, all along a frontal boundary that stretches well back into southwestern Manitoba still, so that will fuel the risk of thunderstorms as we get through the evening hours tonight before we start to see things dying down as we get through the overnight hours. So once that thunderstorm risk passes, down to 15 overnight, a light westerly wind through the overnight hours, likely getting into some clearing as we get into the morning, Brittany, and temperatures remaining cooler than seasonal as we get through the afternoon and maybe a bit breezy at times.
All right. Thank you so much,
You're
Riley.
welcome.
The Pride Parade is just days away, but there's one outfit you won't be seeing on participants. We'll explain ahead. Stay with us. Thousands of people will be taking over downtown Winnipeg streets this weekend for the Pride Parade. It will be full of color and costumes. The one thing you won't see, people in military uniforms. Those are banned from marching in this year's parade. It's a move that's drawing both criticism and support. CBC's Rosanna Hempel explains.
A military band and 17-wing contingent march in the Pride Parade in Winnipeg in 2023. Pride Winnipeg says this year you won't see any military uniforms. President Barry Karlenzig says with all the ongoing global conflicts, some people find the uniforms triggering.
It's about the fact that queer community is hurting right now with what we see around the world and the large amount of individuals that are immigrating here from those countries fleeing where military is corrupt, police is corrupt.
17 Wing at the Canadian Forces Base in Winnipeg says Pride Winnipeg asked them not to participate this year, and they are honoring that request. A base spokesperson says members can still walk in civilian clothes.
It's exclusionary.
Pride Winnipeg's decision is disappointing to Todd Ross, an advocate for 2S LGBTQ+ veterans. He says it's also upset Manitoba survivors of Canada's LGBT purge of the 1950s to 90s, which saw queer workers in the civil service, military, and RCMP demoted and fired based on their sexual orientation.
When we look at a policy like Pride Winnipeg has taken, it kind of puts us back into that closet again. You know, I fought for 30 years to have pride in my service, and now I'm being told by an organization that I should not have pride in my service.
In 2024, protesters stopped the parade, demanding that Pride Winnipeg block police and military from attending future celebrations. Reroute Pride is a collective of 2S LGBTQ+ people. They disagree with Pride on corporate involvement in other issues. They agree with Pride on barring military uniforms.
All of the energy spent fighting for queer inclusion in the military would be better spent fighting against the military. So a world without war will always be safer for queer people than a world with queer people in the military.
There are more groups reacting to the ban on military uniforms. The Canadian Museum for Human Rights won't be formally participating in the parade. That's because the Public Service Pride Network has withdrawn over the policy, according to messages the museum sent to its employees. The network supports federal 2S LGBTQ+ employees, and the museum was supposed to walk with them. Both Pride Winnipeg and the museum say more dialogue is needed. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba's Wildlife Haven Rehabilitation Centre is getting a $650,000 boost from the provincial government. Premier Wab Kinew was at the Assiniboine Park Zoo today to make the announcement. He also released Lumi the lynx, who was cared for by Wildlife Haven after she was attacked by a dog in Swan River. Kinew says the money will pay for a number of improvements, including repairs to the main building, safety upgrades, and new outdoor aquatic enclosures. A municipality south of Winnipeg has declared a local state of emergency because of dirt. Crews are working all over the RM of Morris, cleaning dirt out of ditches after a recent windstorm. And as CBC's Christopher Garreau shows you now, the cleanup comes with a price tag that may leave some local governments digging for funds.
I'm here in the RM of Morris, where a dust storm has turned into mud, creating a state of emergency, blocking the drainage and ruining crops.
The RM is asking for disaster financial assistance from the province to hire more excavators to dig out of the mess that's already pushing up water from Tuesday's storm. Local farmer Matthew Sawatsky says the longer the cleanup takes, the more damage it causes.
The more the water sits on the field, the longer it takes for it to come off, and the more our crop suffers because of it. And so that's gonna, anytime a crop suffers for more than a couple of hours or even a day, then we're gonna start to lose yield. And yield is what drives our farm.
RM of Morris Reeve Scott Seaman says Council declared the local state of emergency 2 weeks ago, but have yet to hear from the province. The RM of Montcalm next door has done the same, hoping for disaster financial assistance. Morris Council approved $500,000 to hire extra contractors, but the Reeve says they need closer to $1.5 million and more than 6 pieces of equipment to clear out 200 miles or more than 300 kilometers of mud.
We're budgeting roughly 2 days to do a mile if possible.
In some cases, it's twice as long.
Siemens says they simply don't have the budget to do all the work themselves. All other public works on roads, ditches, and more are on hold as they deal with the emergency.
You know, handcuff ourselves and completely stop work that we already have planned really isn't very responsible. So we will do our best to not slow down any of our services, but we admit that we will probably have to tighten our belts in a few areas.
Without provincial help, the RM of Morris says excavators like this could be at it till the snow flies. Christopher Gurrow, CBC News, Morris.
All right, Riley, back in now. And Riley, a lot of people, as they were leaving work this evening, probably got stuck in that really quick downpour that we had.
Yeah, quickly creating some fairly large puddles, at least here in the downtown area as well, where we saw that downpour push through, some thunder associated with that, some lightning as well. Looking at lightning tracking right now, and you can see where that sits right now, part of a line of storms stretching all the way up from Peguis now into Hecla, for example, down the Interlake into the Red River Valley and stretching all the way back into south central parts of the province. As we head into the evening hours tonight, we'll see the risk of any of these thunderstorms reaching that severe potential diminish. But nonetheless, looking at the potential for some strong wind gusts, some hail, as well as what we've seen, some heavy downpours out of some of this as it tracks eastward as we head into the evening hours tonight. So taking the lightning tracking off, and you can see some of the orange, red, pink colors. That's the signal from radar of some of those heavy downpours as we progress through the afternoon hours, all kind of kicking off on the western side of Lake Manitoba and pushing into the Interlake as we got through the afternoon hours today, with the frontal boundary associated with this all the way back down into south central parts of the province. It's all associated with an area of low pressure that's still in Saskatchewan and creating the potential for funnel clouds into parts of Saskatchewan through the afternoon. So it's not just closer to the surface where we have that instability, it's higher up in the atmosphere. The upper level winds have been quite volatile as well. So that's why we've seen quite the potent atmosphere over the past couple of days. Certainly today, not reaching the level of volatility as we saw yesterday in Manitoba, but certainly when we do have severe thunderstorm watches in place, that's a good signal to keep your eyes to the sky, because things can change quite quickly, as we saw through the afternoon hours today. By the time we're into the morning hours tomorrow, we'll likely see some clearing Trans-Canada and south through the morning hours, some more like a partly cloudy sky in extreme southern parts of the province, but further north still seeing some showers up Highway 6 and some cloud cover into parts of Westman. We should start to see some of that cloud breaking up as we head into Friday, and things looking a lot brighter by the time we get into the weekend here, along with some warmer temperatures, which again will fuel that severe weather risk as we get toward the back half of the weekend and into early next week. I'll have more on that coming up in your long range in just a bit here, but just looking at the potential for rainfall, really this is the steady rain. This doesn't take into account where we might see downpours associated with some of that thunderstorm activity through the day tomorrow. Temperature-wise, looking at 18 to 20 degrees across much of southern Manitoba through the afternoon, 18 in Thompson and Gillam tomorrow afternoon. We'll try for 21 Brittany into Friday, and things close to 30 degrees as we head into the weekend.
All right. Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, all of that rain and sunshine that we've had has really helped green up things nicely. We have more straight ahead. Stay with us. The Trump administration is planning to hit a dozen countries, including Canada, with a new tariff. The U.S. Trade Representative is accusing the countries of not doing enough to enforce bans on forced labor in supply chains. Ashley Burke explains what this means for Canada and how the Prime Minister has responded to the news.
Is the new U.S. tariff a negotiating tactic? Despite Tuesday's trade talks in Washington, Canada is now on a list of countries Donald Trump plans to hit with new tariffs.
This is not a surprise. It's something that the U.S. has been planning for a few months.
In a new report, Trump's administration is accusing Canada and others of failure to enforce rules to keep out goods made with forced labor, and is proposing an additional 10% levy, but exempting CUSMA-compliant goods.
We support the overall objective, the U.S. action, I should say, and I would note that, in effect, how it's drafted for the vast majority of Canadian trade, it will not have an impact.
Carney now promising to introduce legislation soon to do more to address forced labor.
Canada has a very strong legislative regime against forced labor in supply chains. We don't want any element of forced labor coming in goods and services.
The Conservatives have long called on the government to act.
If you look at the number of shipments that have been stopped in Canada for forced labor versus the United States as an example, clearly the current laws are not working in the way that they should.
Trump's new proposed tariffs are expected to replace old levies the president can no longer use.
Really, this is the response to the strike down by the U.S. Supreme Court of some of the emergency tariffs that President Trump brought in before. They were illegal.
It's coming up as CUSMA is up for review on July 1st, and Trump is reviving his taunts about Canada becoming America's 51st state.
I've said that ever since I've been here. That's a great discussion for the president and the prime minister to have.
Trump's ambassador to Canada reposting Trump's latest comment about the sovereignty of Canada, aimed at the very country he's posted in.
I represent the President of the United States of America. My job is to promote America's views.
The minister handling this file, Dominic LeBlanc, says the U.S. gave Canada a letter of intent about the future of CUSMA. But he says it's up to the U.S. to announce what it says and how it plans to move forward with that trade deal. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Carney government wants the CRTC to reconsider its recent decision to make streaming services like Netflix pay much more towards Canadian content. In May, the regulatory agency tripled the amount streamers must contribute to CanCon from 5 to 15% of their Canadian revenue. That decision drew the ire of the U.S. Motion Picture Association and the U.S. Ambassador to Canada. Ottawa can't overturn the CRTC's decision, but it can direct them to review it. In its place, the federal government is promising $600 million in funding for Canada's audio and video entertainment sectors. British police are facing backlash over the case of an 18-year-old who died in December. Police handcuffed the teen and arrested him after he'd been stabbed. His killer had falsely accused him of a racist attack. Now a protest has erupted following the release of police body camera footage. Julia Chapman reports, but first, a warning that some viewers may find video in this story distressing.
This protest came about after the release by police of the body-worn camera footage from the night of the incident. Last night, the city of Southampton in southern England saw hundreds of protesters taking to the streets, including some prominent right-wing figures. This goes back to December when Henry Novak, an 18-year-old, was stabbed to death on the streets of Southampton. And when police responded to the call for help, they were initially told that Novak had carried out a racist attack against Vikram Digwa, the man who it later transpired had stabbed Novak 5 times. So when police arrived, they handcuffed Novak and ignored his pleas for help. We can show some footage of that moment now, and a warning to our viewers, it is distressing as it shows the moments after he has been stabbed.
What's happened to you, right? Been stabbed. You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate.
Novak later lost consciousness. The officers tried to revive him. That's when they realized that he had been stabbed, but they were unable to save his life. Now, demonstrators and right-wing politicians here in the UK say this is a result of two-tier policing. They say that the officers in question placed undue prominence on the claim that there had been a racist attack and not enough on the cries for help from Henry Novak. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, has said there are serious questions for the police to answer. There will be an investigation that is ongoing by the police watchdog in England, and one of the elements they're looking at is the potential impact of guidance for police officers about anti-racism.
The attacks directed towards police officers in Southampton last night were disgraceful and completely unacceptable. This is a time for serious work, not rage.
Those words echoing those of Novak's family, who say although they condemn the way their son was treated by the police, they don't want his death to be used as an excuse to stoke tensions here. Julia Chapman, CBC News, London.
There's been another seismic shakeup at America's most prestigious and longest-running news and current affairs program. Just days after two correspondents and an executive were fired from 60 Minutes, CBS has also axed veteran correspondent Scott Pelley, a highly respected journalist who'd been with the network since 1989. As Katie Nicholson reports, it happened after a volatile staff meeting with the new 60 Minutes boss.
But there is a North American free trade agreement.
And there shouldn't be. It's a disaster.
But it is there.
Yes.
For 22 years, Scott Pelley was one of 60 Minutes' most vaunted journalists. The CBS News stalwart was also once the network's chief evening news anchor.
For all of us at CBS News all around the world, goodbye and good luck.
But after 37 years with the so-called Tiffany Network, Pelley was fired late Tuesday after clashing with 60 Minutes' new executive producer in a fiery Monday meeting. Leaked audio of the meeting revealed Pelley said his new boss, Nick Bilton, had slender qualifications and would never be welcome. Pelley also has choice words for CBS News' controversial head, Barry Weiss, saying she was brought in to kill the show. Weiss was hired last year as CBS's parent company was acquired by Skydance Media and has since made sweeping changes. Skydance's CEO is a friend and supporter of U.S. President Donald Trump. In a statement after his dismissal, Pelley accused CBS management of trying to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story, and the company's new owners of trying to curry a moment of favor with the Trump administration.
Well, I think anytime people who have spent their lives working in a program like 60 Minutes allege that there has been direct editorial interference, that matters.
Alan Thompson is the program director at Carleton University's School of Journalism.
I think for a lot of people, this is the canary in the coal mine for press freedom, accountability journalism, democracy. Clearly, the old guard working at 60 Minutes sees this as an assault.
Barry Weiss did speak with staff this morning and said that Pelley broke the foundation of trust and mutual respect in the newsroom, and leaders could not find a way back with him. Scott Pelley responded to Weiss's assertions, saying she lied and that there was no effort of any kind to find a way back. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is now breaking down what an independent Alberta could cost the province, saying it's part of her attempts to convince Albertans to vote against a referendum to separate from Canada. She says it would run into the hundreds of billions of dollars and counting. CBC's Tristan Motorshed explains.
I think I came up with almost $400 billion worth of transitional costs that we'd have to assume.
Separation continues to be top of mind, and the question of whether an independent Alberta could work remains unclear. But this new price tag from the provincial government is starting to shed some light.
We want to be very realistic about what kind of costs and inconveniences people would have in their life if they decided to vote otherwise.
At a press conference on Monday, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith estimated an upfront cost of $400 billion with an additional $25 to $50 billion annually.
We'd have to renegotiate all of our trade agreements around the world and establish trade offices. We'd have to set up a post office. We would have to regulate telecoms, banking.
Adding that $170 billion of that cost is Alberta's share of national debt alone.
They're true numbers, but I think they're a little bit on the conservative side.
This professor of economics estimates that total cost could be even higher.
I think it could be at least $500 billion, personally.
DeVay believes the reaction of international capital and trade markets is going to be severe, leading to an even bigger bill.
Literally within 3 to 5 years of Alberta independence, we could have complete zero income tax in the federal and provincial income tax in the province of Alberta.
On the other side of the coin, the Alberta separatists feel that $400 billion possibility is worth complete freedom.
$400 billion? Who cares? We're paid off in 8 years.
But DeVay says the separatists haven't fully factored in the cost of creating a brand new national government out of nothing.
If it actually was a good idea in terms of costs and benefits, now and in the long term for me, my daughter, etc., sure, I would be on board. But the numbers literally that have been put out by the independent side do not work.
We put over $800 billion into Confederation through equalization in the last 30 years, right? If you put compound interest on that, Canada owes us $4 or $5 trillion.
Alberta's Minister of Finance says the provincial government is aiming to give Albertans a clear understanding of the financial impacts that would come with separating. The province plans to put out a full report on the costs in the coming months. Tristan Watershed, CBC News, Edmonton.
A red dress alert would notify people when an Indigenous woman or girl goes missing. But years later, it's still not in effect. Why? We'll explain ahead.
You're familiar with how these work, right? As of now, the agency in charge of delivering weather alerts in Canada has moved to a similar color-coded system in order to help you better understand how severe weather could impact your life.
Environment and Climate Change Canada has been reporting weather watches and warnings the same way for decades, and it looks something like this. With the change, weather watches and warnings will instead look more like this. Just like the traffic lights, the different colors are meant to tell you different things. In this case, the severity of the alert and the risk involved. Yellow being the least severe, meaning you should prepare for significant weather impacts that could cause some damage, like a thunderstorm. In the past, Environment Canada says most weather alerts would have fallen into this category. Orange is meant to indicate that you should protect yourself from dangerous weather like a winter storm because widespread damage is predicted. And red is the most serious of the alert colors, meaning that possibly life-threatening weather like a tornado could be in store.
Alert titles, which used to look like this, displaying just the hazard and alert type, will instead be more detailed like this.
In the new version, not only are the hazard and alert types shown, but also the color level.
Environment Canada hopes these changes will give you the ability to make better decisions in order to keep yourself safe.
Students from across Winnipeg came together for the division's first ever graduation powwow. Roughly 2,000 graduating students took part in the powwow at Canada Life Centre. They came from schools all over Winnipeg. It started with a grand entry, followed by honor songs and celebrations, including 6 different drum groups. Graduate sashes were draped around students' necks. Winnipeg School Division says this creates a space where Indigenous ways of celebrating achievement are shared and embraced.
Powwows have been a way to celebrate people for hundreds, thousands of years in this territory. Powwows used to be illegal, and it's just really important that, as we answer the calls to action, as we enact our strategic plan, that we honor our grads.
Winnipeg School Division represents 32,000 students. All right, well, we just showed you that new alert warning system. A lot of activity over the last 24 hours it's getting.
Yeah, and even in the last couple of minutes, Brittany, I'm going to get right into it because we have had another red level tornado warning issued in parts of southern Manitoba, the arm of Morris, parts of the arm of Roland, this red shaded area on the map here. And I think it's because of likely this cell that you're seeing that just passed through Carmen, prompting that warning from Environment Canada. No confirmed tornado on the ground. This is most likely Environment Canada looking at the radar signature and the pattern of this and seeing that rotation based on radar. So when you're seeing this tornado warning issued in your community, or maybe you're in this area, this is a signal that this is a potentially life-threatening situation. You want to make sure the safest place would be in a basement, if not an interior room somewhere away from windows and away from outside walls, because we are looking at the potential for some very severe weather pushing through, and this is all pushing northeast as we get into the evening hours here. Likely, as this pushes northeast, losing some of its steam, but for now at least, Environment Canada looking at this and detecting some rotation on this radar signature as it comes back. So just keep that in mind, that there is the potential for some severe weather across southeastern Manitoba and the Red River Valley as we get into the evening hours tonight. All right, bit of a palate cleanse. Let's take a look at your dog walking forecast for Thursday. Now, I'll keep you updated on that situation as we get through the rest of the program here. But, how about Shiloh and Chewy from Penamatang First Nation? Thank you, Annie, for sending this picture in. Sisters from the same litter and just recently turning 4 years old. Happy belated birthday. Keep sending your pics to talkback@cbc.ca. Temperatures in Penamatang hanging around 15 degrees or so through the afternoon tomorrow. Could run into a few scattered showers or some thunderstorms first thing in the morning. Looking at your temperatures overnight tonight, 9 to around 15 degrees across much of southern Manitoba. The potential for thunderstorm activity into southeastern Manitoba, northwestern Ontario overnight. Single digits into northern Manitoba with that rain. The result of all of this pushing into northeastern western Manitoba as we get through the day tomorrow. Mainly cloudy skies, temperatures at 20 degrees in Thompson through the afternoon. There's the potential for a few showers or a few thunderstorms first thing into parts of the northern Interlake. Then we do get into some clearing as we get through the afternoon. 14s for Dauphin and Roblin. Looking at things around 18, 19 degrees, Brittany, into the Red River Valley. Your 7-day forecast coming up, and I'll keep you updated on those weather warnings as well.
Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
It's been 7 years since the National Inquiry delivered more than 200 recommendations. The aim? To protect Indigenous women and girls from going missing or being murdered. But many of them have gone unanswered. Advocacy groups are actively marking the anniversary by continuing to press for accountability and urgent implementation of the calls for justice. Sandra Delarond is the chair of Gaganaway Nimananig and joins me now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Sandra, it's been 7 years. In your view, has there been substantive action taken towards these calls for justice?
There hasn't been, and I think in some cases there has been a downward trend or downward support from the federal government in implementing the calls to justice.
Winnipeg and Manitoba have often been considered ground zero for the MMIWG crisis. So has it gotten any better, the situation?
No, it hasn't. In fact, since the release of the report, of the National Inquiry report, there has been, I think it's around 174 homicides of Indigenous women and girls and gender diverse people. We issued our report for the Red Dress Alert in November, and since November of 2025 to now, there has been 6 known homicides of Indigenous women and girls and gender diverse people in the province. So it continues to be ground zero, and that needs to change.
Last year, one landfill search was able to bring the remains of 2 murdered women home. And another search is active right now at the Brady Road landfill. So what does this signal to you, if anything?
Well, to get the landfill search was very contentious, and it required the eyes of the world. And it required a change of government, in fact, provincially, to have that land search done. And what that says to me and to other families is that we matter, our loved ones matter, our families matter. And that was the critical piece of not just searching the landfill, but being able to bring the loved ones home.
Sandra, for years there have been calls for a red dress alert system for when Indigenous women and girls are reported missing. A report that you wrote said Manitoba needs to implement that alert no later than June 2026. So where are things at with that?
I think the response from governments have been very limited and cautious, beyond cautious. And while we continue to move forward, I mean, we have received some funds from both the federal and provincial governments, which should take us until November and help with, you know, the technical aspect of preparation. But it doesn't take us to implementation.
Do you think it's realistic to have this alert system in place by the end of the year?
It could be. It could be in place with the, bringing those players to the table to work through the legislative amendment. I mean, we've had generations, we've had decades of lobbying for safety for our Indigenous women and girls. We've had many hoops to jump through from an advocacy standpoint, through a national inquiry, the federal parliament calling it a national emergency, the investment into developing the Red Dress Alert pilot system. And that's kind of where it has stalled. Meanwhile, it just takes one petition to develop a national framework for a silver alert. And, that really, I think, is a prime example of the different, of the difference in how governments treat this issue as a national emergency.
Lastly, Sandra, what needs to happen immediately to ensure that our women and girls are safe?
Well, I think that the red dress alert needs to be in place. I think that there has to be, better communication between police agencies and families when their loved ones go missing. And there needs to be, support to work with families on the ground through, coordinated search efforts.
Sandra, appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
They spend their days swimming, but what else do fish and marine animals get up to? You won't want to miss what these kids' answers are. That's next. Plus, Riley's back with the last check on our forecast. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back. Continuing to track severe weather moving through parts of the Red River Valley, including this red level tornado warning in place for the RM of Morris, likely because of what meteorologists at Environment Canada are looking at with this particular cell that's pushing through the Low Farm area. You can kind of see a little bit of rotation with that bow or that hook echo as it moves across the region. So if you're in that area or around it, this is a potentially life-threatening situation. So just take that into consideration. We could see severe weather as we move into the evening. Here's a quick look at your 7-day. Bit cooler as we head through Thursday, Friday, and things looking hot and sunny as we head through the weekend. Ocean Week Canada is a celebration of the ocean. As part of the events in Halifax, aquarium staff answered questions to help kids learn more about marine animals.
The CBC's Juliana Grillo has our daily lift.
What do you think the animals in the aquarium eat?
Meat.
What about you?
Rocks. I think for dessert they eat grass.
And what do they do all day?
I feel like they have friends and like they swim with their buddies.
The starfish decline a comment on their fishy lives, but I was able to talk to one of the animal caretakers at the BD Marine Center to ask her some of the burning questions the kids had. Like, do fish eat 3 times a day like we do?
So some of the fish in here, like the lumpfish and the mackerel, they get fed every day, but the larger fish here we feed 3 times a week, and we'll prepare them different types of food, like shrimp and fish. And we actually have to use a feeding pole because most of them are hanging out at the bottom. And it's like a long stick with a target on the end that we've trained the animals to recognize.
Cernowski doesn't just care for the creatures while they're here. She handpicked some of them herself. Dressed in her scuba gear, she found them in the water and brought them back to the aquarium. But some of the aquarium's favorites, like Indigo the blue lobster, were gifted to them.
So this guy we actually got from a lobster fisherman in Yarmouth. He caught it on his boat and he contacted us because he thought we might like to have it on display.
You know, I don't know about the eating only 3 times a week.
Yeah, I might get a little angry.
Exactly. Keep an eye on those alerts, stay safe, and we will see you back here tomorrow night.
Yes, nowhere to go if you have those red level tornado warnings issued. The basement, interior room, away from windows.
Stay safe.
See ya.